think of abundance and resources, and think of resources and abundance, and resources meaning air that you're breathing, and friends that you're playing with, and conversations that you're having. There are a lot of resources that don't have the resistance that the money thing has. And so when you get into that place of feeling abundance, turn the word to resources and acknowledge the incredible resources. Our favorite thing about this state of alignment is that it's not just a state of clarity, but it is. And it's not just a state of love, but it is. But it is a state of replenishment. Well, is there a better word that goes with abundance than replenishment? Because we want you to express your money outward, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And so if it's going out, it's got to be replenished, you see. Your planet is such a planet of replenishment. There are so many people that want to pinch you off from accepting the well-being of your planet. But the well-being of your planet is so abundant with evidence of replenishment, 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 you see. That's what your vortex is. Your vortex is never-ending replenishment for the manifestations of your life experience. You're not ever going to be without the things that are important to you because your vortex is laden with them and flowing them to you, you see. So when you think in terms of your vortex and the abundance of it, and you get those glimpses of it flowing to you, for Esther, the feeling of clarity is the strongest feeling of abundance that she has. But she sees it everywhere. Replenishment, 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 never-ending replenishment, never-ending abundance. Question, answer, problem, solution, replenishment, 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 replenishment. Expansion. There's no regression. You can't go back. Once you have birthed it and it's in your vortex, and once your inner being is all over it, it's a done deal. It is for sure, for sure, for sure. The only question is, how long is it going to take you to talk yourself into letting it in? And the answer to that is, how soon are you willing to let go of whatever it is you're focused upon to let the now give way to the true now? Manifestations that are around you, surrounding you, they're old news. The vortex is where it all is. And so when you open that valve and you find the key to that, what that feels like, then you just have one satisfying moment after another, after another, after another, after another. My life, as it came to me, as it came at me, caused me to launch desires and make big requests. And my vortex, full of those requests, and my inner being standing there with them, gathered all the cooperative components and accomplished the vibrational version of that. So it's not a matter of if. We would start saying, since my vortex is full of everything that I've ever asked for, then wouldn't it be nice if I could find a mindset, a mood, an attitude, a habit of thought that would allow evidence of that abundance to show up now. Most of the world needs the world to change. And so from their place of disconnection, they're making all kinds of rules and requirements that they can't enforce. What comes out of it is a sense of insecurity because it's too much to control. Where when you realize the only thing that you would be prudent to control is your own point of attraction. And your own point of attraction is easy to understand because your emotions give you the indication of how you're doing. It's too simple, isn't it? So here's a resistant thought. I would really like to have more money, but it's hard to get. That's a resistant thought. Your inner being thinks only, all that is wanted is coming, all that is wanted is coming. And you say, but it's hard. Your inner being is saying, all that is wanted is coming, all that is wanted is coming. You say, but it's hard. As long as you're thinking it's hard, then every time you think about money, it's a sort of discouraging subject. It's a subject that makes you not sleep at night. It makes you want to try hard. But your inner being knows that whatever you want is coming because your inner being has full view of all of the cooperative components that are all lined up. Your inner being knows where you are and where you want to be and what the path of least resistance is to get you there. Not the quickest route. The quickest route would be if you were over there with your inner being with no resistance. The quickest route would be meditate, quiet your mind, don't think any thoughts. You're right there. You're right there because you're thinking no thought. But then you come out of meditation, you go right to that resistant place if that's your habit of thought. So a resistant thought has resistance in it. And a resistant thought, which has resistance in it, contains some form of negative emotion. We'd like to just slap you all upside the head so that you just know that, but that's not how it goes. You have to, thought by thought, discern what a resistant thought is on this subject, what a resistant thought is on this subject, what a non-resistant thought is. So over time, we've said to you, reach for the best feeling thought. Well, that's nice too. Reach for the best feeling thought. But have you ever had a conversation with someone where you have a pretty clear understanding of something and maybe a strong opinion about it, and they've asked for your help and you want to help them and you feel pretty clear about what would help them, but they have a different opinion, and so you're sort of debating it, and each suggestion you make, they resist it. And so it's like this battle of wits that is going on, where every time you tell them something, you try to give them examples of what worked for you, and they've got a yeah but about it, until it becomes such a frustrating conversation because they're not hearing you and you're not really hearing them, and it's quite a tug of war that's going on. You have those two people in yourself much of the time. So your inner being is always knowing that what you want is possible and in fact is lined up. Do you know what the greatest cause of resistance is in resistant thought? Do you know what the greatest cause of it is? Your current reality. Because if you want something that you don't have and you're really focused upon what you've got, which isn't what you want, then your awareness of what is preventing you from going to where you want to go. Isn't that interesting? Just being present in the moment and aware of what's going on will keep you from the improvement. Esther said to us in the early days, but Abraham, it's true. It's true, so shouldn't I think about it? And we said there are a lot of things that are true that you don't want active in your vibration. That's why you don't want to watch the news. You don't want to stir up that feeling of pushing against that comes to you. But there's nothing wrong with watching the news and launching rockets of desire and then meditating and then lining up with your desire. Now reality, now manifested reality is the culprit that prevents you from the improvement that you want. But because the balance of who you are is more about alignment than not, sometimes right in the middle of something that feels like even a crisis, the universe will deliver answers to you before the problem is even in your awareness. Answers before you even know you had a problem. So what we're saying is reach into the pile of subjects and choose the ones that are in this moment most pleasurable. And if there aren't any, take a nap or meditate. Because it helps you to calibrate your thoughts deliberately later. So you get tuned in and you start seeing or hearing the movie, which leads to another thought, that your inner being is also inspired. And then the next thought, introduced in the midst of the easy thought, could go one of two ways. It could either make the harder thought a little easier, or it could introduce a little bit of resistance. Doesn't matter which one it is, it only matters that you're aware. So you know when to back off, you know when to give your attention to it. That's how you figure this out, isn't it? You can tell what you're emanating by the way you feel. So your inner being is a strong component of who you are, and your inner being has a point of attraction from no resistance. In other words, your inner being has no resistance. So imagine how powerful that attraction is when there's no resistance mixed in to slow it down. So your inner being is attracting really powerfully on your behalf the things that you've been asking for. So the way you feel in any moment in time is about the way law of attraction is responding to your inner being and the way law of attraction is responding to you. And don't be mean to yourself when you have negative emotion. Negative emotion doesn't mean you're wrong or you're incorrect or you're bad. Negative emotion means you have a residual of a thought that is resistant in nature that your inner being doesn't share. That's all it means. And so you could stop for a moment and think about why your inner being doesn't share it. Or you could just say, well, I'll just think about that later, or maybe I won't think about it at all. Or maybe if you catch it early enough, you can think another thought that your inner being does share. If you're in sync with your inner being, like meditation, you're not competing or resisting, then you and your inner being are both standing in this powerful place of attraction, and things are coming to you with speed and clarity and accuracy and satisfaction. But anytime you feel some sort of negative emotion, that means that your energy is split. And while your inner being is still attracting on your behalf, you're not letting it in. You're not allowing it. And so doesn't it seem logical that the first order of business would be to get over here in sync with where all the power is? Yeah? By finding ways to be resistance free. And that means first knowing what the feeling of resistance feels like negative emotion. Knowing what the feeling of alignment feels like love or satisfaction. And then doing your best to guide your thoughts into good feeling places. But the most significant success about that will come if you get out ahead of it. That's why we're encouraging segment intending, thinking about what you want in a segment, how you want to feel in a segment, and isolating what that feeling feels like before you get the email that says the printer truck hit the tree. If you're already in a worrisome place and you hear that, then you've got no sea legs, you've got no shock absorbers, and you're going to have a strong negative reaction to it that could take all day and maybe longer to get over. Because the worse it gets, the worse it gets, the worse it gets, the worse it gets, the worse it gets. Because the law of attraction is relentless, isn't it? Yes? Do you understand that in every moment that you exist in your physical body, that this source energy part of you is aware of you and what you're thinking? The subject of your thought is the subject of your inner being's thought. But every thought subject is like a stick with wanted on one end and absence of what is wanted on the other end of it. And your inner being, as it is joining you in that thought, is always on the what you want end of the stick. If you're on the what you want end of the stick, then you're having a pleasant thought. Esther just loves it when she finds her mind wandering in these pleasant thoughts. They're not monumental thoughts. They're not anything to write home about. They're not things that maybe anybody else would be interested in. Just really pleasant thoughts. And she realizes, oh, I'm really in sync with my inner being as I think about that. In other words, she and her inner being had a mutual consideration. You just got to decide through what eyes you want to look. And as you play with that a little bit, you begin to discover that instead of fear, you have confidence. And instead of confusion, you have clarity. And instead of yearning, you have knowing. And instead of hate, you have love. That's really what your quest is about everything anyway, isn't it? Is it boring? Is it boring to be tuned in? There's not much drama in connection. The drama is what put everything you want over there. You had lots of step one moments, and we'll have more. That's a good thing. The step one moments are a wonderful thing. But can't get rid of that thing you're giving your attention to. You just got to choose the other end of the stick. And you have the capacity to do that, don't you? We know. It's all in the way you decide to look at it. Do you know that anything that you perceive, it's not what you see, it's the vibrational stance from which you see it. And so what we're asking of you is don't ask the world to change so that you can just blunder around and bumble on it and like what you see. Tune yourself so that you see what you want to see.